Welcome to part 2 of my series on how to format a book for Amazon's Kindle Direct Publishing using Microsoft Word. And these documents that you'll create, you can use for both a print book and an ebook. In the first part, we separated the sections, so we had front matter in each chapter and back matter. And we inserted the page numbers so that there are no page numbers printing on the first page of each chapter, and that chapter 1 is page 1. In this tutorial, we're going to format the text, and we're going to use paragraph styles. There are a lot of reasons for that. The main one is it'll make your job a lot easier, and everything will look more consistent. There are links in the comment section for some of the documents and software you might need. All right, let's get to it. Let's take a look at some title pages. I've got a history book here, another history book, a novel, another novel, a memoir, another history book, and a biography. Okay, so what they all have in common is the title of the book, the author, and the publisher. Okay, here we have a subtitle. So the title, subtitle, author, publisher. Title, author, publisher. Title, biography they call this. Okay, author, publisher, vintage. Now I'm going to show you some the first page of first chapter pages. Okay, so we'll start with the memoir. All right, now in this case, she repeats the title. Here's chapter 1. Notice how it's lower on the page, okay? And then she starts that as page 1, so page 2 would be the next page. Okay, over here we have this older book where this is the first page, all the same typeface, just used in a variety of ways. And again, starts lower on the page with an initial cap. All right, in this biography, very basic. Again, lower on the page, initial cap if you want. We're not going to do that, but you can do that. And chapter 1 is a little larger than the name of the chapter. Page number at the top, and starts, so number 1 is that page, because there's number 2. All right, the history books are a little more complicated. This one starts with prologue as the first chapter, just to compare it. You can see that they deal with the prologue in the same way they do with the chapter head, except for that they put chapter 1 here. But this is page 1. And then you've got a variety of different things you have to show. So they're using caps and lowercase here, all caps, and no initial cap here. All right, it gives you a basic idea. The last things we're going to look at are the headers and footers. Okay, so let's start with this memoir. So they've used the title in the header, very close to the page number, on every page, all the way through the book. In this old book, which is a novel, they have the name of the book using all caps on the left side of the page, on the even side, but the name of the chapter on the right side. So this stays the same, that changes. In this biography of Henry Knox, they use the name of the book here, and then again the name of the chapter right over here. Here, which is in this novel, they have the author's name on the left using italics to make it different from the rest, and again using italics the name of the book, and that's consistent all the way through. Okay, here we go. The first thing you want to do is open your document template for 6x9 book that we made using the instructions from the last video. And you might want to save a copy just in case you really mess up and have to start over again. So let's save this as text formatting. Good. Okay. All right, we're going to format all the text, and the basic default text is normal, and it's written for you up here. Doesn't matter what I select, it's going to say normal in Cambria. That might be different depending on what version of Microsoft Office you have. 12 point, it's not bold, it's not italic, it's not underlined, and it's justified left. So we want normal, except that we don't want 12 point. And the place we're going to change it is someplace else. So we're going to go to the toolbox and we're going to open up the formatting palette. And here you have styles section, and that's where we're going to work. So here's normal down here. There's also the heading styles. And we're going to take normal, the little paragraph at the end turns into an arrow, and we're going to scroll down to modify style. We're going to keep the name just as it is. If you've chosen a different typeface that you want for all of your book, you would change it here, because all of the other type is the styles are based on normal. So this is the best place to change it, but we're going to keep it at Cambria. Okay, so we're going to keep it left justified, and the only thing we're going to change is the font size, which is 11. Okay, now everything shrank just a little bit because now it's all in size 11. Okay, that's our start. The next thing we're going to format is your title page. So we have your title page right here, which as you can see, still in the normal style. And we're going to zoom in on that, 150% so we can see better. And what most people do, because we want our title page to start a little bit lower on the page, is they put this return a few times. Well, that is just not going to work for an ebook, because all of these are going to absolutely disappear and your book will end up hugging the top of the page. Now we're going to put those as part of your formatting styles, and that's why we're doing all this. Okay, so the first thing you can do is put the real title of your book there. So we're going to call this template for 6x9 book. And now we're going to go to our formatting palette and we're going to click New Style. And we're going to call it Title Text. Okay, so we want this to be bold. We want it to be 26 points. We want to make sure you're in your preferred typeface, and we want it centered. Okay, it gives you a little bit of an idea of what it's looking like down here. We also want to make sure that it's black, and this is how you check what color the text is. So you can either put automatic or just black, right? Okay, now we're going to change where it is on the page. So down here at the bottom, you're going to click Format, and you're going to scroll up to Paragraph. So we're going to add our space right here, spacing before. So right here, we're going to add 100 points. And after it, we're going to add 10 points. And that's going to give us some space between our title and our subtitle. Right, click OK, and then just place your cursor anywhere in that text, go over to your new title text here, click that, and voila. All right, next we're going to format the subtitle text. So we're going to work in here. Now I'm not going to leave my cursor here because otherwise it might change that. We're going to put it in the place where it's going to end up. So subtitle text. All right, back to New Style. And we're going to call this subtitle text. Then we're going to give it 18 points. And this kind of depends on how big your title is. And we're going to make it centered. We're not going to make it bold. We're going to make sure it's black. And we're going to leave the formatting. We're going to just leave it at 00, at least the space formatting. Okay, all right, say OK. Click that, click your new text, and there you go. All right, I'm going to put a new name in here because you might want to fudge the size a little bit according to how long your subtitle is. And the important thing about subtitles and titles is to put as many keywords in as you can. We're going to give this a new name. We're going to call it How to Format a novel or a memoir, and this is why we don't put any space, because we're going to put a paragraph return, for ebook or print book. We don't want that to be capital. Using Microsoft Word. All right, there we go. Now we're not going to give it any more extra spaces. There we are. Now this, you'll just change the size, not here, you'll change it in formatting. If you want to change that to something else, go to Modify Style and change the size. And then you can make it smaller or bigger. All right, good. All right, next is the author. So I'm going to go ahead and change that to my name. And I'm going to make a new style. I'm going to call it author text. And I'm going to change that to 18 points. And I'm going to center it. I'm not going to make it bold. I'm not a big fan of bold, in case you can't tell. Make sure it's black. Make sure it's centered. And this time I'm going to give it lots of space. So I'm going to go to paragraph and I'm going to add 150 points because I want to move it way back down. And then I also want to give it some space between the author and the publisher. So I'm going to give it another 30. There you go. Okay, so go out of there, click the author, go up to author text, it's in alphabetical order, and click that, and there's the author name. All right, and finally we're going to do the publisher. If you're publishing this book under your own name, just erase this and just don't put anything. But I use my own little publishing company, Peachbone Press, so I'm going to put that here. And you at least want the country. Minimum is the country. Best is to put the city and the state and the country. Do not put any personal addresses here. So we're going to put San Rafael, California. I always like to spell out the word, it's so pretty. USA. Okay. All right, now let's format this text, which is, we're going to keep it normal. We're just going to center it and not give it any spacing. So here we go. So we're going to do new style and call this publisher text. And center it. And that's it. Okay. So we click anywhere in that text and we push publisher text. Oh, we've got to do both lines separately. There we go. All right, we're done with that. Now, in the next video about images, I'll show you how to put a logo or something here. But for now, we're just going to leave it like this. Okay, save. Now that we've finished our title page, our complete title page, we can put our title over on page 3, where we have the title just all by itself over here. So let's zoom in there. And we're going to replace that text with the regular title. And then to change the formatting, all we have to do is go to our styles list and click title text, and everything will be put into place. One of the nice things about using paragraph styles is that it just makes sure that all the spacing on everything is all exactly the same. And if you have to change one, it'll automatically change the others, which is really helpful. Okay, now we're going to tack all these other pages in our front matter. So let's go at the beginning and zoom in on our first page. All right, so eventually this will all get deleted, but for the purposes of having things just hold their place, let's show our non-printing characters so we can see what we're doing. So we're going to change this and make it a style called normal centered. So go to your formatting palette, push new style, call it normal centered, and center it. So because we don't use indented paragraphs with centered, we're going to give a little space below centered paragraphs. So afterwards, we're going to give it just 15 extra points. Okay, okay, and now we click that phrase,
go over to normal centered, and there we go. So you can see there's the phrase and there's a little bit of space. Okay, we'll go to the next page. We just click on that phrase and click normal centered. Now that page is formatted too. Let's go back up to 50%. Normal centered. I don't think it's really normal. Okay, this is our copyright page. So we're going to do that normal centered. And we'll do this one normal centered. And this one normal centered. Always change them later if we don't like it. And finally this one normal centered. Okay. All right, now let's work on our copyright page. So we're going to go over here and go back to 150. All right, we're going to complete our copyright page while we're at it. First of all, you want to replace the year and the author. Get rid of that. Okay, so now when I do a return, there's going to be some space. Okay, so, oh, by the way, there's no space there. Some people put a space there, but there isn't any. And the reason for that is so that if it ever is at the end of a paragraph or something, it doesn't get disconnected. You always want the copyright symbol in the year to be together. All right, so now we're going to write all rights reserved, including the right of reproduction in whole or in part in any form. All wrongs avenged. I spelled it all right. Okay, now give it a paragraph return. Okay, next we're going to put our Library of Congress number. Now, if you don't have a number, go get one. And I've put a link to the website on the template that I've given you on the instructions. Okay, and so that's a number is going to go there. And the next thing you're going to put is your ISBN number. And that's usually 13 digits. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, again, you do not want to use Amazon's ISBN number. They give you a number for free. But the ISBN number registers who the publisher is. So if you use Amazon's ISBN numbers, Amazon becomes the publisher. And this is your book. So again, I've given you a link to the website, which is called myidentifiers.com. On the sheet that I've given you, go to that website and find out how to get your own ISBN number. All right, so that's pretty much it. And anything, oh, another thing you want to put on here is the contact information. So for more information about this book, and I'm going to do a soft return, which is shift return, so that I don't have extra space. Contact info at peachplumpress.com. So I suggest you set up some sort of, even if it's just a Gmail account, but something that's dedicated just to information about your book so that you're not hooking your personal life up with your publishing life. Okay? All right, that will do for the copyright page. One thing you might want to do is format the text for your dedication page. I like to write my dedication in italics. So let's give it its own text. Let's go to Formatting Palette, New Style. We're going to call it Dedication. Text. We're going to make sure it's not normal centered. We want it based off just plain old normal, but we are going to center it. And same typeface, but we're going to make it italic. And we're going to, for formatting, we're just going to leave it at 00. All right, so let's see how this works. Okay, now you put your cursor anywhere, go to dedication text, click. Right now, when you have different paragraphs, it won't make great big spaces. Okay, there you go. Finally, we're going to format the text for our chapters. So let's go to the beginning of chapter 1. Zoom in on that. And I've listed these different styles here just to help us remember what it is we need to do. But eventually I'm going to erase that, and your chapter 1 is going to start here. All right, let's start with the title of the chapter. So we want to have a heading for some of these. So you can see heading 1, heading 2, heading 3. Headings are different than the other text because headings are something that internet search engines look for, or when we do the table of contents, you'll see how headings come into play. So we're going to deal with them a little bit different than we do with the rest of the text. And the headings are actually already formatted in here. We're just going to modify them. So go up to your formatting palette, okay, and we're going to start with heading 1, and you'll see there's a heading 1 formatted already here. So click that. Now you have a blue heading, Justified Left, and it is in Calibri typeface. All right, we're going to adjust that. So here, not here, here, take the arrow, go down to Modify Style. All right, let's bring that over here. So we're going to leave the name there, and we're going to change the type style to our preferred style, which is Cambria. We're going to leave it at 16 points. We like that. We're going to leave it at bold, but we're going to change the color to black. And we're going to center it, and we're going to change the spacing. So go Format, Paragraph, give it 100 points above and 22 points, so basically 2 lines of spacing before the new paragraph starts. And that's all a matter of taste. This starts the paragraph about a third down the page. You can do it halfway down the page if you want, and it's all taste. Okay. Okay. All right, so it's already in place, seeing as heading 1 was already a format. All right, next we're going to do heading 2. So that would be the subtitles. So here's heading 2. Let's modify that. And again, we want to change the type style to our preferred Cambria. We'll leave it at 11. I think your subtitles should be about 2 points larger than your normal text, which is 11. So we'll leave it at that. We do want to make it bold. We want it black. And I'm going to leave it Justified Left. That'll look nice. And so format, they suggest 10 points before, which is fine. That gives you 10 points before the next paragraph starts. So that's good. Before, oh, actually we want to give it 5 points between the subtitle and the paragraph. So good. All right, okay. And this one we have to tell it that's supposed to be heading 2. There we go. Okay, I'm going to turn off the paragraph styles. All right, now let's do heading 3. All right, the only thing we're going to change on heading 3, let's go down to heading 3. Modify style. We're going to leave it at heading 3. We're going to change the color to black. Again, we have to change the typeface. Come on, little guy, to Cambria. But we're going to leave it the same. This is just minor subtitles, so we're going to leave it the same size as the rest of the text, and we're going to leave it Justified Left. And we're going to give it just a little bit of space. I think 10 is probably good, but no space after. Okay. Okay. And then you're going to tell it it's supposed to be heading 3 by doing that. All right, the whole thing you're supposed to be heading 3. Good. All right, that gives it a little space. All right, save. Now we're going to deal with our paragraphs. The first paragraph, and this is true of every book that you see professionally typeset, is not indented. So we're going to leave normal as normal, and your first paragraph of every chapter is just going to be plain old normal. But all the paragraphs after it are going to be indented. So this is what we're going to change. We're going to create a style called normal indented. So we go to new style again, and we call it normal indented. Leave it at 11, leave everything where it is. The only thing we're going to change is the indent. So you do that by going to Format, Paragraph again, and here where it says Special, you're going to scroll down to first line. Now, an indent of 0.5, which is default, is horrible. It's way too big. And if you leave it there, it is a sure sign this is a self-published book. You're going to just put 2, so 0.2, 2/10 of an inch is all you're going to put there. And we're not going to put any space between the paragraphs. So that's all. All right, so here you go. Okay. So I'm going to say second paragraph. I'm going to click normal indented, and it's going to move in a little bit. There you go. You can see how 0.5 would have been just way too big. All right, and now our footnotes, we want to be smaller than everything else. I usually do it 2 points smaller. So we'll say new style. We'll just call it footnotes. It's pretty obvious. Make it 9 points and say OK. And then I've got to tell it to be that. So go like that. Okay, and then the last one is captions. I usually do captions the same size, I just make them italic. Some people make them smaller, some people make them all caps. We're going to keep it simple, remember? So we go to new style, make them italic. Oh, up here we have to put captions and italic. That's all. Okay. All right, now sometimes, oh, then we have to tell it to be captions. So we go over here and we click captions, our new style. Okay, now we have all of these styles are registered here in your type styles. So we don't need this stuff anymore. So you're just going to erase this whole thing. And now we're going to do the fun part. All right, let's go back to 100%. It's easier to see. All right, so put this where you can see it. And this is going to be how easy it is. So when you put in your text, the first thing you want to do when you apply new text is delete formatting, so clear formatting. So you want to get rid of any other typefaces or type styles or anything. So this whole thing you want to be now in normal to start, okay? Normal. All right, now we're going to take, all we have to do is just click in chapter 1. So now all you have to do is remember that this is heading 1. So go to chapter 1, click heading 1, and there we go. It's got the right spacing. It's all set to go. First paragraph, you're going to leave just as it is because you don't want it indented and it's already normal. Okay, now if you can see, I'll just go this up a little closer. Get this out of the way. You'll see here it says second and succeeding paragraphs. So you're going to click everything from there all the way to the end of your chapter. Okay, and one way to do it actually is just clicking, let me show you on 100%. If you just click here, push shift and then click here, then you're going to set all of this text to normal indented. That's just the easiest way to do it. All right, find your subtitle text. And remember, those are going to be heading 2. So click heading 2, major subtitles. And we forgot to give it space. Heading 2. Let's add some space. Not supposed to have, I think it needs more space than that. Let's give it 20. Okay. Okay. Heading 2. There. All right, and then minor subtitles is heading 3. Good. Now let's do it again for chapter 2. So here's chapter 2. We'll zoom in. We'll click chapter 2, make that heading 1. We'll maybe zoom out to 75 so we can see the whole chapter. And we're going to click at the beginning of the second chapter and at the end and make that all normal indented. And so we can see better. We'll do major subtitle, heading 2, and we'll make minor subtitle heading 3. All right, good. One thing we didn't deal with yet is our title for our About the Author page. Because we want this to show up in our table of contents, we're going to give it the heading 1. That way it'll be dealt with in the same manner as our chapter titles, as you'll see. It's time to add our headings. We're going to add the author's name on the even pages and the title on the odd pages. So it would help if you could set it around 75% so you can see a lot of the headers at the same time, so you can make sure everything's going to the right place. You open headers by going View, Header and Footer. Now we're going to have to scroll back down to Chapter 1. And we'll start with the author page. So try to double click in the center. And now you need your palette open. And you're going to click Different and Odd. And the reason, of course, for that is that you're going to put the author on the even and the title on the odd. Okay, so let's go back here. Mary Ames Mitchell. Good. Okay. Now we want our formatting palette open, and we're going to set that. And notice it's also on page 6, so on even pages, which is good, and not on 10, which is good. And we're going to give that its own style. So do new style. We call it header author. We're going to make it 10. Italic, centered. Okay. Now we'll just double check. We're going to check this, and we're set. Okay. Now we're going to do the odd pages with the title. So we'll double click in the middle of the header for page 3, and we'll type in the title, which is Template for 6x9 book. And we're going to do this a little differently. So let's go in there to 150%, and we're going to change this to 10 and small caps. So that's this little ABC here with a large A and a small b and the small c. We're going to click that, and that's going to make it different from the rest of the text. So now we're going to make a new style. Call that header, title, text. Make sure it's 10. Make sure it's centered. Make sure it's black. Make sure it's Cambria, and say OK. And then just double click that with that. All right. Now we're going to make sure everything's on the right pages. So we'll go back to 50%, and we're going to close out of headers. And we're going to see, yes, we've got our author there. We've got our title there, nothing there, good. This is an odd page, so it's got the title. This is an even page, so it's got the name. Now the only thing we're going to change is this page, because we don't want any headers on our back matter pages. So give that a little tug, and we're going to take that at 150% so we can see it better, and double click in the header, and go to Format, to our header section, that's our styles. We want our headers, so headers, and unclick link to previous. All right, now then we're just going to simply erase it. So let's look again at 50%, make sure that we didn't erase anything we weren't supposed to erase, and voila. Okay, so here you still have page headers. Let's do it at 100, you can see better. All right, so you have chapter 1 with your name, and then the title on the next page, nothing on that page, title on that page because it's odd, This is even and nothing there. Good. Last thing we're going to do is insert a table of contents. And this is where you're going to see why you've gone to so much trouble to format your text the way you have. So you want to go to page 9 of your front matter, to the page where it says table of contents, and you're going to select that title, which we're going to get rid of, and we're going to replace it by inserting a document element table of contents. And depending on which version of Microsoft Word, you're going to get a selection of options. We're going to take the most basic one and click that. And here we get a table of contents. So it's got our chapters, our subtitles, and our minor subtitles. So you want to make sure that your title, you want to make sure all of this text matches the text in the rest of your document. So the first thing we're going to do is format the table of contents header. So you go to your toolbox and you will find, see it says table of contents heading, and in my menu it's at the very bottom. So I'm going to modify that. I'm going to change the type style to Cambria like everything else. I'm going to keep it at 16, which is what my titles are, bold. I'm going to change the color to black, and I'm going to center it. And I think the spacing is probably fine, especially if you don't know how much space your table of contents is going to be. So that's good. So you say OK. The next thing you want to do is make sure all of your text is the same size. You want it at the normal size, which is 11. So let's start with this one here, and it says that's called TOC, Table of Contents 1. So find that in your list, which is here. You're going to modify that, and you're going to change that to 11. And you don't really need it in bold, so let's take that and unbold it. Okay. All right. Second one is heading 2. And this is not changing your regular heading 2, just in the table of contents. So this is TOC2. So you go to TOC2, modify style, and make that just unbold. We're going to make these all like normal. Okay. And finally, we've got minor subtitle. That's TOC3, TOC3, modify, Cambria, and 11. Good. Okay, all right. Now, the reason you want to modify these styles is so that later if you need to change, update your contents, if you were to go back to here, it would update it, but it would add all this bold and all the bad type styles again. So anyway, we're going to save this, and I'm going to show you what happens when you modify your table. So let's just go into 50%. And we are going to add some more text to this chapter. So we'll just copy it and place a cursor here and just paste and add a bunch more pages. Good. All right, now let's go back to our table of contents here. And we're going to go back to 150 cents so we can see what we're doing. And now I'm going to update this. So all I have to do is click this little arrow, and it's going to have a couple options. Update just the table or update the table of contents. We're going to do update the table and click that. And then it asks me just numbers or the entire table. We're going to do the entire table and say OK. And you'll notice that we've added a bunch more subtitles, that we've changed the page numbers, and it's all updated. Okay, another thing that is really nice about this is it gives you a chance to review how you've organized your documents. So one thing that I've really done wrong here is I named chapter 1 with using OA, but I named chapter 2 with a 2. Well, I don't want that. So if I go, this is an active document, so if I go to 10, page 10, to that title, let's go back to, let's say 100. Here's chapter 2, and I change that title, so TWO. Now I go back to Save and go back to my table of contents. And then I put, again, I update it. So let's update table, entire table, okay. And now it's changed the name for me. It's really convenient to have this all working for you. So you can look through, you can see if the order looks really, because this is the first thing people are going to see. The first thing they're going to see is your table of contents. So you want this to look really nice. All right, we are done with formatting text. Give yourself a pat on the back.
So that wasn't so hard, was it? All right, the next video we're going to format your images and insert them into your document. So stay tuned.
If this was helpful, please click the thumbs up button. You can write questions and suggestions in the comment section. Thanks for watching.